Do you notice that you have that voice of the inner critic? And perhaps right now you're aware that maybe that voice is feeling a little bit loud. Sometimes we can notice that, sometimes we can notice that that inner critic seems to be running the show. I want to just talk to you about the inner critic and how we can begin to turn the noise down. Now, the inner critic is very normal for us to experience. It can come about due to childhood experiences, past relationships, anything that may have happened or been said to us, potentially on repeat, that we begin to internalize that voice, and that kind of builds into that inner critic voice that we have. The thing is that we begin to hear that voice as our own inside our mind, and we begin to believe those thoughts, even though they are simply just that, they are thoughts. So begin to be aware of the voice of the inner critic. Notice how you can be the observer and step back a little bit to observe those thoughts. Don't label yourself and own those thoughts. Don't label yourself as the voice, if that makes sense. So begin to be the observer. Step back a little bit and notice when the inner critic speaks up. Notice the words that are being said, what's being said. Notice that voice of the inner critic. Perhaps you want to give that inner critic a name. Perhaps it's Moaning Myrtle, Debbie Downer, Negative Nancy. Whatever comes to mind that feels quite light-hearted to you, and that you can put a label on it when it does come up. So you can see that, again, it helps create that distance a little bit more, to see that that voice isn't me and that's Negative Nancy popping up. It's a part of us. It's those thoughts that are coming in from our own experiences, from our fears and doubts and worries. And that's the thing to remember, that our inner critic isn't just there to simply sabotage us for no reason, or to make us feel down, or to hold us back for no reason. The inner critic is actually a protective mechanism. Often it's being aware of those past experiences. Say, for example, something happened and it didn't quite go to plan. That voice in the future is going to want you to protect you from that happening again, that experience happening again, especially if it felt uncomfortable or anything like that. So the voice pops in to maybe stop you from doing that. So it might be the case of the voice might say, well, you can't do that. Who are you to think that you can do that? That went wrong last time, you can't achieve those things. All of these thoughts that can pop up, but again, it's just protecting you, trying to protect you from that happening again. But the thing is, that was just that one time, that past experience. And the voice may be putting it onto other experiences, future things going on, just in case, just to try and keep you safe. So notice when that voice pops up, and you can begin to be a little curious about it and ask yourself, what's this voice really trying to tell me? What's this voice really trying to do, trying to achieve? How is this voice trying to protect me? Then we can kind of become a little bit more aware, have a bit more understanding, a bit more self-compassion. And then we can choose not to listen to that voice. We can remind ourselves that this is a different situation. This is a different time, that you're ready and you're prepared, and that you can do hard things. You can do new things. You can put your mind to a new challenge, whatever it is for you, when that inner critic is starting to creep in. You can almost imagine it. I quite like to share the example of imagining it like the devil and the angel on the shoulder. And perhaps you've got that inner critic, seeing it like the little devil on your shoulder, the one that's just popping into your ear with just these unhelpful thoughts, these criticizing beliefs and judgments, and it's just, that little voice that keeps kind of popping in. Notice that voice, notice the inner critic on that shoulder, and turn the volume down, because quite often the volume is turned up on our inner critic and it's too loud. It's the one that's overpowering everything. Notice on your other shoulder that there's an inner champion there, your angel, your inner champion. And we also have that inner champion within. Obviously, the inner critic can be more overpowering. Our minds naturally have a negative bias, so it's easy for us to lean into that inner critic. But notice that you always have an inner champion within. Notice that inner champion on your shoulder and turn the volume up of the inner champion. So when you're facing new experiences, facing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, something that makes the inner critic pop up, or perhaps you're just generally noticing the inner critic right now, notice it. Turn the volume down of the inner critic. Notice what your inner champion wants to say and turn the volume up. Perhaps you even want to just close your eyes for a minute and check in with that inner champion. Lean into it right now. What does your inner champion want to say to you right now? Allow a little bit of space for those words to come in, because your inner champion is there, always ready and waiting to talk as well, waiting to be heard. So I hope that helps in just having a little awareness and acknowledgement about your inner critic, and some tools to help dull down that voice that's not helpful, that's not supportive, that's not serving you, and to turn up the voice in the part of you that does believe, that does know that you achieve, that knows you're good enough, that knows that there's a beautiful future and many opportunities that wait for you. Lean into that voice. Thanks for joining me for this. Feel free to reach out if you've got any questions or anything you wish to share or any realizations. Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear.